Okay, so let's start. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Transhuman Race, the Symposium. First, I want to mention how grateful we are to see so many people interested in the symposium, and thank you for being here. It's Team Heart's first big event, so we are really excited about it. And my name is Maria, and I will host today's event together with Victor here.
Hello?
Uh, as I said, this symposium is really important to us, and with it, we want to raise awareness about the topics of human augmentation and transhumanism in the Netherlands and all around the world. So, today, all of us will dive into the concepts of transhumanism and show you how this philosophy can be put into practice. Uh, Now, let me tell you a little bit about the schedule. First, we're going to have three speakers give their presentations. So now Victor and I are speaking, and after we are done talking, you will hear about winning the transhuman race from Anders Sandberg and about transhumanist technologies from Peter Joosten. And after this talks, we are going to have 15-minute break during which we'll have some nice activities. I'll explain later a bit more about them. And after that break, we're going to have three more presentations during which you will learn about technologies for understanding and preparing the brain from Ed Boyden, about organic neuromorphic devices from Yuri van der Berg, and about sculpting the evolution of biology and technology from Kevin Esveld. And then again, after the talks, we're going to have a 15-minute break, again with activities. Um, so after the talks, we are going to engage in a discussion about human augmentation and ethics with other speakers, and you will get to be an active participant. After the panel, we're going to say some final words, and that would be it. Now I want to tell you a little bit more about the activities. So, after each talk, you will get an opportunity to ask questions to the speaker. There will be like a 5 minutes window where we're going to take questions from the audience. If you watching the live stream from the YouTube, you can put your questions to the chat and we will read this chat. And during the panel discussion, we will constantly keep an eye on the chat. So it will be like we are talking with you. So please keep in mind that this event is recorded. And if you ask a question, your name will appear on the screen. And we feel like the big disadvantage of such online events is that you don't get to interact with fellow participants. And to combat this, at least to try to, we created three Google Meet networking rooms that you can join and where you can meet and interact with fellow participants and transhumanism enthusiasts. And some members of HART will always be there to keep you company. So to access the rooms, go to teamheart.nl/room and then enter your preferred room number. And here is the most fun part, at least in my opinion. To keep you active and engaged, we'll run a bingo competition. Hopefully you know what it is, but for those who don't, so you get a list of 16 things to cross off. An example of what you can see there is a card that says, heard the word example. So when you do hear the word example, you get to cross the card off. And when you cross all 16 of them off, you're done. And we'll give two prizes, exclusive prizes for the best players, which we will evaluate based on how fast you complete your bingos and how many of those you complete. So to generate your unique card, go to teamheart.nl/bingo. During the breaks, you can just get off the screen and make something nice for yourself, like a drink or something. And you can also participate in the small activities we've prepared. We are going to use a special platform for this, and to get you acquainted with how it will work, let's just try it out right now. Please, all of you, go to teamheart.nl/break and answer the question that pops up. So I am now going to put the AHA slide. Okay, so let's give it a few seconds to see what
Yeah,
you.
there are people popping in.
Yeah. Okay. So most of you are somewhat familiar or moderately familiar with human
Actually
with
do this at the end of the
transhumanism.
evening again to check if it changed.
I don't think you can answer it again. Okay, so let's do another 20 seconds, let's say. Doesn't change that much. Okay.
Where would you be actually, Maria, on this?
I think I would be moderately familiar. It's pretty hard to be extremely familiar.
That's a good point. I'm curious as to the people who are.
Yeah, that's probably some of our speakers today.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, so most of the people are somewhat familiar, and the second most popular option is not at all familiar. So I suppose it's great to have you here because after this event, hopefully your answer will be different. So let's go back to the presentation. Um, so yeah, this kind of activity we are going to have in the break. And all the links that I just showed you can be found on our website, where the arrow is here pointing on the right. And you can also see all the links in the Eventbrite confirmation email and the live stream description right on YouTube. Anyway, this is probably all you have to know about the symposium. Really hope you enjoy it. And now I will give the word to Victor, and he will tell you a little more about Team Heart.
Yeah, exactly. So, as Maria already said, we are Team HART, and we're a very new student team that is funded by the Eindhoven University of Technology. And let me just briefly explain what we focus on. And maybe it's easiest to just do that by asking, well, why did we come together in the first place? And that is because all of us in the team are fascinated by a single question. And that is, are we really stuck with the senses we're born with? And we think we don't necessarily have to be. We like to illustrate this by the connection between parrots and pirates. You all know that these two are connected somehow, but what you may not know is that there was an actual reason why pirates carried parrots along their travels. And the reason is that a parrot is sensitive to changes in barometric pressure in the environment. And you can imagine that this is a very nice predictor for rainstorms, which is why they're extremely useful. But also, a thing that we are wondering specifically is, well, why can't human beings sense this? And that's the thing we're focusing on. Well, to look about that, let's first think about what our brain is doing. And I'd already like to apologize to potential neuroscientists here. I'm just a physicist. I will grossly oversimplify this. So basically, the brain is just receiving electrochemical signals from your senses, for instance, your skin or your ears or your eyes, according to a certain pattern. But this is everything the brain ever receives. And somehow, this complex interplay of all these signals, your brain transforms into the world that you see right now. So, right, everything you hear, see, feel, smell, and taste right now is just an electrochemical signal for the brain. Um, okay, but what if we now take a slightly different approach? Let's say normally you would receive sound via your ears, but what if you're hearing impaired, for instance? Could we take sound and turn sound into a vibration on your skin? And if we do this according to a consistent pattern, could the brain learn to recognize these electrochemical signals again, so long as they arrive according to a certain pattern over and over and over? Well, that is what we're currently testing. And the way we do this is with what you see on the screen. This is a sleeve with 24 vibrational motors. And it's our very first prototype. This was, I think, maybe even on the day that we got it working. So there's some emotional attachment to this image. And we are currently working on the second and third iterations of this already. Now, what does this thing do? Basically, it takes a word and it chops it up in phonemes. If you take the word every, that would be every, has three different phonemes. And then every phoneme is a distinct vibration that you can feel on your arm. And one of the members of our team, Robbe, trained 10 different phonemes. So he learned to recognize 10 different of these vibrations with which you can construct words. And afterwards, he was able to learn to recognize 10 words just by feeling in only 5 minutes. And now that single application is very cool, we think anyway, but we don't necessarily intend to stop there. What we envision would be to create a sort of app store for your body where you could create and download new or even improved senses. So we've already sort of touched on the hearing impaired. You could improve hearing or maybe even enable instant translation. But you could also think about creating 360-degree vision or becoming sensitive to your internal health. Or maybe you want to be a modern day pirate, have your own parrot, but then on your own arm. So if we could sense barometric pressure this way, we could make that possible. So to briefly summarize that, the aim of our team is to make the world more inclusive while we make humans more exclusive. And the final goal would be to reach a state of being more than human. Now, you can imagine that this is just a very tiny fraction of everything we can do with transhumanism. And that is part of the reason, of course, why we host a symposium like this. Now, we are working in a very tiny fraction, and there's no better person to expand on this, to give you a better overview, than Anders Sandberg, who's the first speaker of today.